What if a single radio transmission in a narrow stretch of water could pull half the world's navies into a shooting war overnight? What if two ships, quietly transiting one of the most strategic choke points on Earth, suddenly became bargaining chips in a much larger confrontation involving missiles, drones, cyber warfare, and the threat of escalation no one can fully control? Right now, as you're watching this, military planners are gaming out scenarios where one wrong move, one misread radar contact, or one misunderstood order could turn regional tension into global shockwaves. The seizure of two foreign ships by Iran is not just another headline. It may be the opening move in a high-stakes contest where power, pride, and deterrence collide, and where the next decision could reshape the balance of security across the Middle East and beyond. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down a moment that has sent ripples through defense ministries, shipping companies, and intelligence agencies around the world. Iran's capture of two foreign vessels has ignited fears of escalation in one of the most volatile regions on the planet, and behind the scenes, the implications are far more serious than most headlines suggest. This isn't just about ships. It's about leverage, signaling, and the silent language of military power that states use when diplomacy strains to the breaking point. Stay with me, because what's unfolding here connects directly to global energy security, freedom of navigation, and the real possibility of miscalculation leading to conflict. Think about this for a moment. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil passes through waters patrolled by Iranian forces and their rivals. Every tanker, every cargo ship is a potential pressure point. When Iran seizes foreign vessels, it's not acting randomly. It's sending a message, one designed to be heard in Washington, London, Brussels, and beyond. The question is, what exactly is that message? And how far is Tehran willing to go to make sure it's understood? As we peel back the layers, you'll see that this event fits into a pattern that has been building for years, and the stakes are higher now than ever. Behind the scenes, naval commanders are recalculating risk. Insurance rates for shipping are spiking. Satellite imagery is being scrutinized frame by frame. Signals intelligence units are listening for changes in Iranian naval communications, looking for clues that might hint at the next move. And here's the chilling part. In environments like this, where forces operate in close proximity and tensions run hot, escalation doesn't always start with a deliberate decision. Sometimes it begins with an assumption, a misinterpretation, or a show of force that goes too far. That's why this moment matters. Iran's strategy at sea has evolved dramatically over the past decade. Once reliant on conventional naval power, it has increasingly embraced asymmetric tactics designed to offset the technological superiority of Western navies. Fast attack craft, sea mines, coastal missile batteries, and armed drones form a layered web of denial that can complicate any adversary's plans. When foreign ships are seized, it demonstrates Iran's confidence in its ability to control its near waters, at least temporarily. It also tests the resolve of those who claim to guarantee freedom of navigation. Will they respond forcefully, diplomatically, or not at all? Another layer to consider is technology. Modern naval encounters are saturated with sensors, data links, and automated systems. Decisions that once took minutes or hours can now be made in seconds. This speed can be an advantage, but it also compresses decision-making time, increasing the risk of error. When tensions are high, automation can amplify mistakes instead of preventing them. This is one of the unspoken dangers lurking beneath the surface of this crisis. As we move forward, keep watching for the secondary signals. Statements from defense ministries. Unusual naval deployments. Sudden exercises announced with little notice. These are the breadcrumbs that often precede larger moves. And remember, silence can be just as telling as noise. A lack of comment sometimes signals intense behind-the-scenes negotiations or preparations no one wants to advertise. Let's bring it back to the human element. Sailors on those seized ships are now at the center of an international standoff. Their safety, their fate, becomes a bargaining chip in a geopolitical game. Families wait for news. Diplomats scramble. Military planners weigh options that could put thousands of lives at risk. This is where abstract strategy collides with real human cost, and it's why moments like this should never be dismissed as routine. There's also the regional dimension. Iran's actions are watched closely by neighboring states, some of which feel directly threatened by its growing influence. Every successful assertion of control at sea reinforces Iran's regional posture and may encourage similar tactics elsewhere. That's why allies are consulting, coordinating, and quietly preparing. No one wants to be caught flat-footed if this escalates. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Crises don't announce their climax in advance. They build through a series of decisions, reactions, and miscalculations. The seizure of two foreign ships is one such decision, and the reactions to it will shape what comes next. Will this be resolved through negotiation, or will it harden positions on all sides? Will it deter further action or invite more bold moves? These are the questions hanging in the air. As you watch this unfold, remember that history is full of conflicts that began with incidents at sea. From blockades to accidental clashes, maritime confrontations have a way of spiraling. That doesn't mean war is inevitable, but it does mean the risk is real. And in today's interconnected world, the consequences would be felt far beyond the immediate region. We're entering a period where the old rules of engagement are being tested and new ones haven't fully formed. Power is shifting, alliances are under strain, and actors like Iran are increasingly willing to assert themselves in ways that challenge the status quo. The seizure of these ships is a symptom of that larger transition, and understanding it is crucial if we want to grasp where global security may be headed. So, as tensions continue to simmer, keep your eyes on the water, watch the movements, listen to the rhetoric, and pay attention to what isn't being said. Because in moments like this, the real story often unfolds between the lines. This isn't just about two ships. It's about the future of deterrence, the stability of global trade, and the thin line separating pressure from provocation. And here's the final thought to leave you with. In a world where conflicts can ignite faster than ever, awareness is a form of preparedness. Staying informed, questioning narratives, and understanding the deeper dynamics at play can make the difference between panic and perspective. The situation is evolving, and the next development could come at any moment. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay with us. Now consider the psychological dimension. Every captured ship becomes a symbol. For Iran's domestic audience, it can be portrayed as strength, defiance, and resistance against external pressure. For foreign governments, it's a challenge, sometimes a provocation, that demands a response. The longer such incidents linger unresolved, the more they erode trust and increase the risk of confrontation. And here's the hook you should keep in mind. Each hour that passes without clarity raises the odds that someone, somewhere, decides that patience has run out. Let's zoom out and connect the dots. This seizure doesn't exist in isolation. It's happening against a backdrop of stalled negotiations, sanctions pressure, regional rivalries, and a shifting global order. Major powers are distracted by conflicts elsewhere, and Iran knows it. By acting now, Tehran may be probing for weakness, testing how far it can push without triggering a unified response. Or it may be laying the groundwork for leverage in future talks. Either way, the message is clear. Iran wants to remind the world that it cannot be ignored. Here's something many people miss. Maritime incidents are among the most dangerous flashpoints in international security because they unfold quickly and publicly. A confrontation at sea leaves little room for quiet de-escalation. Ships are visible, movements are tracked. Media coverage amplifies every maneuver. In such a charged environment, even defensive actions can be interpreted as aggressive. This is why naval doctrine places such emphasis on rules of engagement and communication. But rules only work when everyone agrees to follow them, and that's far from guaranteed here. As we dig deeper, ask yourself this: what happens if another ship is seized? What if escorts are deployed and those escorts encounter Iranian patrols? What if a warning shot is fired or a drone buzzes too close for comfort? Each scenario carries its own risks and none of them end cleanly. Defense analysts are already sketching out timelines where a single incident cascades into a broader standoff, drawing in allies and adversaries alike. This is how crises grow legs. Iran's naval forces, particularly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, are designed for exactly this kind of confrontation. They thrive in the gray zone between peace and war, where actions can be denied, justified, or reframed depending on the audience. Seizing ships allows Iran to operate in that gray zone, applying pressure without crossing the threshold of open conflict. But thresholds are subjective, and what one side sees as controlled escalation, another may see as an intolerable breach. Now let's talk about deterrence, because this is where things get really tense. Deterrence relies on credibility. If nations promise to protect shipping lanes but fail to act, their credibility erodes. If they act too forcefully, they risk triggering the very conflict they want to avoid. This delicate balance is playing out right now in command centers and situation rooms. And here's the twist. Deterrence isn't just about military power. It's about perception, timing, and the willingness to absorb risk. Energy markets are already reacting. Even the hint of instability in key maritime corridors can send prices climbing, affecting economies far removed from the Middle East. That's why governments that might otherwise stay quiet are paying close attention. The seizure of 2 ships may seem limited, but its ripple effects are global, and those ripples can quickly turn into waves if the situation deteriorates.